Okay. Hello.
What's up, Tamika?
What's up, Steven? So I'm just gonna have you introduce yourself to people, and
All
I'm
right.
gonna act like a clown.
Yeah, that works for me. Hello, everybody. Whoever is listening, my name is Steven Dunn, aka Pothole, because I'm deep in these streets. What else you need to know about me? Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, I
That's
write
it.
and shit, and Tamika's my homie, and we're gonna talk about some stuff. So for right now, speaking of writing, what I'm working on is a lot of different projects. Really, I used to be a one book kind of person, but I've changed that like January of this year, which
Yeah,
is
you
very strange.
you were
I never
really
thought that would
adamant
happen.
about that.
I was, yeah. I was like, I only work on one book at a time, blah blah blah. But as of a few months ago, it changed. So yeah,
Why did it change?
Hanif Abdur Keeb changed that
You
because
should explain that for other people. I kind of know why.
yeah. So I was writing a Tribe Called Quest book like sparingly, but in my little silly mind, I was like, only one book at a time. So whenever I finish this book, I'll work fully on my Tribe book. That's going to be my next book about Tribe Called Quest. And then Hanif published his book, and I was pretty sad. Like shit, I waited all these years to write this goddamn book because I think I only work on one book at a fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so he put the book out. So I was like, I need to get on this next book about a rapper before somebody else does it. So yeah,
Right.
I scrapped my Tribe book, and it took me like a year to read Hanif's book, and it was so fucking beautiful.
It's
And I'm
so
glad.
beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm kind of glad I didn't write it, but I still need to write this other book. I need to
Yeah,
write.
you
So,
do.
yeah, so I was like, man, the way he wrote that book was so much better. Now, I don't want to say better or worse, but something else than what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I appreciated what he did better than what I was doing. Like it was more heartfelt and open and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. What are some lessons that you're taking from that book? Are you applying some to the book you're working on?
Um, I think the heart, just like the author's relationship to the music, that's a big thing that I'm taking from that book too.
Nice.
Just like, man, how beautiful that was to like talk about the relationship to it.
Right. And it's like, I mean, it is like really soul level, blood level, like that deep,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like definitely felt. And I can see that and this and the new stuff that you're writing too.
Thanks.
For the yeah, that's really cool. And you're working on 3 or 4 projects, or like you're like what?
Yeah. Yeah, working on the novel that I already was working on for like a few years, the rap book, then another book about a musician, and collaboration with another author. So 4 books right now. That's a
Whew,
big jump from a one book person, right?
right. How are you keeping it all organized?
um,
Or are you keeping it organized?
yeah, I am actually. Yeah, like just the basic shit people do. Like, here's a tab on my laptop for this book I'm working on, and my
Mhm.
research goes in that, and different folders on the computer and stuff. As far as like working on it, I haven't figured out any like set schedule of working on them other than the
Yeah.
collaboration book with my friend. We're gonna write a paragraph each a week, so that's the only like set thing that I'm doing. But other than that, I
Yeah.
just work on stuff in cycles when it comes.
Yeah. That's good tempo, paragraph a week, each
Yeah.
person. That's really good tempo.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. Sometimes, we'll go like 2 weeks because we're busy or whatever, and we're both teaching, so
Yeah.
gotta do the shit. Yeah.
I was gonna say you're teaching a lot at different places, and some official, some unofficial. Um, some you might not call teaching, but you are teaching. And like how is that? I don't know. How's that going? That's not a very good question, but how's that
That's a
going?
good question. No,
Okay.
it's good. Yeah, it's good. I had I teaching at Regis and Lighthouse, like the 2 official places. uh yeah, Regis is good. Like my student, I don't want to call them students, but
I know. I get it.
people I work with, yeah, that I'm an advisor for. I just feel like we're peers, right?
Yeah.
that I just happened to be working with person. But yeah, like everybody was super cool and shit, and just like really good writing. Not that that matters. Like it doesn't have to be great writing. I'm saying it, but like that is a bonus that I
Yeah.
get to be involved with their process and see all this cool writing every month. A lot of poetry, hybrid stuff, some straight fiction. So it's a lot of stuff in between.
Cool.
And today is actually my last day of class for this Lighthouse class. I'm teaching about the experimental novel. So,
Nice.
novel.
You'll
And
have to tell me when that comes around again, because I didn't hear about it till y'all were like in the middle of it.
oh yeah.
I was
But
like,
you've seen all the shit I was going to talk about in classes. We're in writing group together. So you got it. But I mean, I will tell you, right?
okay.
I mean, it's a little
Because
more involved because it's a class setting.
yeah,
So, yeah.
because I mean, I haven't really taken many Lighthouse classes, but like there's some that I might take. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I haven't taken any, or yeah, I've never taken any. I visited Richard Froud's class one time. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
he was teaching a hybrid class, so he
Nice.
put me in to like talk about my book and stuff, and that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. I haven't gotten to talk with him a whole lot, but I just really love his writing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Exactly. Like I'm about to cry. I'm like,
Yeah,
it like touches you so deep. Like a lot of writing, it's memorable, but you know, you move on, and then Richard's work is just like it really haunts you.
yeah.
And
Oh my God. And that's why I quote him in like Water and Power. Like the first page is like Richard Froud said. Man, he's so nice too. Just like
he's so nice and
regular
genuine.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
when I first read Fabric, Brian Lupo, Brian. I
Mhm.
guess I'm just saying it for everybody else, right?
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Brian Lupo, great writer, helped me edit all of everything I've written since I first started writing. So he's the one who put me on the Richard Froud's Fabric,
Oh
and I
wow.
read that shit twice and like in a row. Like I read it twice in a row. I finished it and then like went back and read it again. And I emailed Richard, just like, fuck, like I really love this book, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And back then I was just starting out writing and I didn't want to tell people I was a writer because I didn't want them to think I was like emailing, to get something, so I was
Yeah.
just emailing as a fan because that's what the fuck I was, like, I mean, I was a writer too, but at that moment I'm a fan. So I just emailed.
Right.
And he sent me like a really nice note back and it's like, thank you, like his letter felt like his book where he was like, it's good when books reach certain people and you don't know, and it's the wave of something. It was like a super poetic letter, really nice. And then like 3 years later, I had a book come out and he emailed me. It was like, hey, are you the Steven Dunn that emailed me all those years ago? Like, why didn't you tell me you were a writer? I was like,
It's like, what?
yeah, yeah.
And you do that a lot. I mean, that's something I've learned from you, because I think I have like a lot of anxiety about approaching people a lot of times, but
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, I really like this and I'm just going to tell them. I'm like, duh. Like if you really like something, just tell somebody, because we
Yeah.
don't know, like we write it, it goes out into the ether, and like, what's
Yeah.
happening out there?
Yeah. And I learned that from Sela. I didn't have any anxiety around doing it, but I just didn't know. Like, oh, you can email an author. So yeah, Sela talked about it. Sela Saterstrom, she talks
Yeah.
about a lot like tithing to the community and stuff. Like, give to this thing that you eventually want to give to you, or that is already giving something to you. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that book give you a lot of shit to think about, to feel. Like, let the author know.
Right.
Wow, that's so like simple but grand, in a
Right.
way. Yeah. So I've just kept that since I think she told me that in 2010. So
Nice.
yeah, and I
I
just yeah.
I
Go ahead.
love Sela. I feel like Sela is one of those people, and we know there are lots of those people in the community who are like, they create community from like behind the veil a little bit. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're in the background, just like doing all these really beautiful things and touching people, and just then they're like, like doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that makes me really happy, because I know like I was talking with someone the other day about how a lot of times in literary community it feels a little man bite dog sometimes, and there are like 3 people we're supposed to support, but really it's all of us. It's a whole vast community, right?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, groups are self-selecting, right? But like
Mm.
and I think that's important too, because we have space what we have space for, but like it's just a different message than I think I've gotten before, like say with the undergrad, and then also folks who are, I don't know, there's just like i I get a lot of people's books
Mm.
and I think you do too. I know you do, and like, and that's cool, and sometimes it's really overwhelming, and sometimes it's really annoying for different reasons too,
Hmm.
um because most of those people don't really ask you what you're doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll maybe read your book. I would like to read your book. I would like to have time to read your book. It is a privilege to read your book, ultimately. And
Hmm.
what, you know, I'm also working 5 jobs, 7 days a week. So
Yeah.
like how do you manage that? Like you're, you know, you have a beautiful family, and you
Mm.
have also a community of folks. You're teaching different places, and you work outside of that too. Like, and there's been a lot of changes with that. Like how do you manage that?
Thank you for saying that. I don't know. Sometimes I don't do well, so I'm trying to learn how to do it better.
Hmm.
So yeah, like sometimes I've neglected shit or not done things as well. So I've been working on like paring down to do the things I need to do. But
Hmm.
most of it is like Tara. Like my wife is Tara, so a lot of support from Tara where I can like do shit. You know,
Yeah,
like I could go travel and read my books or whatever, and just like blocking off time, I guess. You know, like I have to
yeah,
teach on Thursday nights, and that's what I do. I have to prepare for class.
yeah.
And it was very difficult to do when I had a 9 to 5 job. So like
Right.
actual material logistics makes that shit too. So I quit my little fancy engineering job and, uh, and I went back to being a security guard and I worked part time. So yeah, it is a mixture of like being privileged, like financially to have 2 incomes,
Yeah,
have a partner who like supports me doing all of this other shit.
yeah.
So with that like logistics, other than that, I just have to get my shit together to do to do like my mental shit together to do
Ugh,
stuff. And I think it's just not, yeah, like sometimes it may seem like doing a lot, but if I can like allocate times, like it's not a
right.
lot. Or I could be fucking lying to myself right now about
I don't I
that.
don't know if you are, because I feel like you're very clear about certain things that you do want to accomplish, and that you do want to, like how you want to appear in the world. And I don't know. I don't want to feed that too much, but I feel like those are a couple of things that make what you're saying not a lie.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it's a lie because I get overwhelmed with shit. I'm like, why did I sign up for this? So that's my some. Yeah, sometimes it feels like a lie. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I don't know how many people know that you paint, that you're an artist too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man, yeah, I love it. Yeah, yeah. I feel like I'm more of like a doodler nowadays, but
Except you create like masterpieces on a freaking Etch-a-Sketch.
oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's so like it feels good to do that also, and I've had it like I've been playing with Etch a Sketch since I was like 5 years old, so just
Uh-huh.
had a lot of time to like get good at it, you know.
Well, I remember when that circular one came out, and you're like, "Look, that's cheating. Like, you don't need to. You could do a circle on a regular Etch-a-Sketch."
Yeah, maybe not a perfect circle, but it's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just sit with it for a minute. You do the thing. Like,
Mm.
I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Oh my God, you're right.
Oh, don't be embarrassed by it. No.
I forgot."
I've been wanting to get one though to see like what it's like to see like what you could do on it. So I may get one.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you might do you ever think about doing, I know you've done some stuff with Jada, who is an artist as well, your daughter.
Mm.
Have you thought about doing some of your art with some writing and stuff too?
Some like the stuff that I paint or draw.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't yet. Yeah, I think because of the way I left painting and drawing and shit. I feel like I've told everybody this story. It shows up everywhere, but it's important. Yeah, when I had an art show
Yeah.
downtown, yeah, and I had all these paintings and I was preparing for like a year and it didn't feel right. And then Tara was like, "You ever notice how many words you have in your paintings?" I was like, "Oh no." So I was like, I should probably be a writer then. So that's what made me be a writer, was like kind of failing in that way or being insufficient. And I don't know what to call it, just not being able to express what I could in
Yeah.
that way. But I feel like those skills haven't left me, like that type of
Yeah.
composition and shit and blah blah blah, foreground, middle ground, and yeah, that hasn't left, but it's in my writing. So that's, as of now, I haven't decided to like have a separate like art word thing,
Mm-hmm.
except for in water power. Like I did some like little art in water and power myself, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So what was that journey like going from words on a canvas to words on a page? Like
Uh,
how?
it was cool. It was a struggle at first because I like left it alone because of the shit you hear in school about how to write and blah blah blah. So when I first started writing, I was totally doing that bullshit of like writing how your English teacher said you should write and all of that stuff. But after a while, it smoothed out, and then I didn't know I was doing it consciously. Like when I was writing Potted Meat, there are a lot of like 3-paragraph stories. It is totally like a fucking foreground, middle ground, background. There's like the rule of thirds and shit that you do. You take pictures
Yeah.
when you paint shit. Like all of that shit was showing up in Potted Meat, and I didn't realize it. But once I realized, I was like, oh, I can do this intentionally to where it has a better effect with what I'm
Right.
doing. So yeah, it was kind of a cool transition.
That's really cool. I won't ask how long it took because those things are hard to gauge, I think, like for most of us. Like, how long
Potted
did
Meat.
that transition take? Like,
Oh, the transition.
yeah.
No, I know actually, yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it took a couple years. Yeah, it took a
Couple
couple years.
years.
Yeah, and it took a couple years and like 2 shitty novels before I got. Yeah, I wrote 2 fucking books before I wrote Potted Meat, and
Oh wow.
they were like 220 pages long and shit.
I think that's good for people to hear because they're like, I need to write this perfect thing and it needs to be well formed and perfect now. And then
Yeah.
they hold on to it for so long, even maybe past the point that they stopped believing in, like that formulation of the book or whatever. And then they're unable to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was something interesting with you because like I know I have boxes. The reason why I have this background here is because I have boxes and boxes in my office of papers. Um and this is much prettier. And
Oh.
the papers are like, they're things that are hard to let go of, like old drafts of stuff that probably I won't do anything with because they were not really good, or maybe not salvageable in some ways. But I've heard you say that you've just gotten rid of stuff, like gotten rid of tons of old manuscripts and papers and started over or deleted
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
I do it once a year. Yeah, I delete everything once a year that I'm not like actively working on and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
I guess it's like a fucking laptop etch-a-sketch in a way.
Yeah.
uh,
I, I
yeah, I delete stuff once a year. Yeah.
Well, and that's really scary for a lot of people. Like even me, like hearing that again, there's part of me that's like, why would you do that?
And I'm starting to question it now because of people's reactions too. I was
Uh-huh.
like, maybe there's something I could hold on to longer. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
am starting to question that part of myself too.
Okay.
So maybe every 2 years I can delete shit. Right?
Like,
Like maybe I can find a medium. Yeah.
you have like a semi-annual check-in, like, no, nope, still not into it. Like,
Yeah.
or maybe then right before you're like, oh shoot, I'm
Yeah.
gonna save this.
But I did find like a hard copy thing that me and James, my friend Lorenzo James, we were trying to write a book together.
Oh
It
wow.
just never happened. We still need to
Yeah.
do it. But I was going through old papers yesterday to throw shit away. And I was like, oh shit, this is the thing me and James was working on. And I was glad to find it. So that plus people's reactions is why I'm thinking like maybe I should keep stuff longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what happens. That's interesting that you're changing your processes around writing, it sounds like.
Hmm.
That's
Might be the baby. I don't know.
the baby ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at least like 4 years he's been alive. It's been like strange. Yeah, like as a writer with a baby for 4 years, I know a lot of people go through it. It's
Yeah.
odd. Yeah. So it's like I haven't really written that much in 4 years, so maybe I should keep older shit, or maybe I can work on multiple things, and because
Yeah.
my focus can't be on one thing, like it's taken so long to do this one thing in these last 4 years since he was born, that
Yeah.
maybe I could like fill in those gaps with other projects, something.
I get that.
Plus
I get
Hanif,
that.
can't forget about Hanif.
Well, we're gonna have a good talk one day and like, like, yo, man. uh well I don't this is the hard part about not having questions sometimes. What kind of tea are you drinking?
Oh shit, this peach ginger tea.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That sounds really good.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's nice. So I forget what. Yeah, Bigelow. Hold on. Yeah, Bigelow. Yeah. Yeah. What are you working on these days?
Me?
Yeah.
Uh, so I work on multiple projects probably because I'm just disorganized, and I'm trying to become more organized. I have a main manuscript I'm working on. I tried to push some other poems at the beginning of it last night and realized they're not the they're not they don't belong to that manuscript. So the manuscript that I'm trying to publish was from my MFA, and I've cut it down like 200 pages or something. So it's about 80 pages, 70 to 80 pages, just the poems. It was hybrid, now it's just poems and images. And it's about familial estrangement, identity as a mixed race person, and working towards reconciliation. So it's kind of just the poems and that, and you've seen all of those.
Yes,
Um,
I have.
Thank you. And then I thought I was going to put, a lot of things have been coming up for me about sexual trauma and like, uh, through the bloodline, sexual trauma through the bloodline and generational trauma and stuff like that. And just like, just that idea of working towards reconciliation and like, in all kinds of ways. And, just how hard all of that is and how, that trauma is still in our bodies, and some people demand that we forgive them without even
Mhm,
receiving an apology or any kind of anything, any
mhm.
acknowledgement or anything that we are suffering still, right? And just trying to find the words for all of those things, and just realizing that even though I haven't experienced certain things to the same degree as maybe an ancestor or another relative, it's still in my blood. It's still like, it still affects me. And so those things are really scary to me. And I'm not a vengeful person, but I'm at a point where it's like, yeah, these things need to be outed. They need to be said. These things happened and they need to be acknowledged, and I don't know when reconciliation comes. So those were the poems that I thought I was going to tag on the beginning of that manuscript, because
Yeah.
a lot of people told me my poems up front weren't strong enough, or powerful enough, and I'm just going to gamble it because those aren't the right poems for that manuscript. That's a whole other thing, I feel like.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on those two things, and I really want to go through all of my CDs, and it's something a writer, Jason Heller, said I should do a long time ago. And I really admire him because he didn't do an MFA or anything. He's a total punk rocker. He writes for The Atlantic, has
Mm-hmm.
multiple books out, really super smart. And I feel very generous. And I remember talking with him one time, and he's like, you just start a blog and you write about anything. You write something every day. And even if you're just going through your CDs and writing about those CDs. And then like one of those memes came up lately about, the list 10 albums in 10 days or whatever. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, there's music is really important to me, and there are reasons why I chose this specific music, and I shouldn't be like blowing this on Facebook. I should be writing actual essays. So I would like
Mm.
to do that too.
That's
um
cool. That's funny. My CD book has been out a lot for the book I'm working on about my friend Lord Knows.
yeah.
Because it's an archive, and I was like, this book is about like the missing archive, and I came to that from like being in one of Hillary Leftwich's class and Deanna Rash's class. I forgot what they were doing. It was something like tapping, and
Oh
then
yeah,
it was
tapping.
talking about like finding your ghost or something. So that class like led me to like, I need my fucking CD book for this book that I'm writing,
Yeah.
and I am doing a lot of sampling and like Black Connection. I'm like, that's what my CD book is, like Black Connection. There's a lot of rap and R&B, it's like connection myself, my parents, and all of that. So I have it out a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really important. Like touching a CD is so much different than finding something on Spotify. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love those things like Pandora and Spotify and stuff. I have mixed feelings sometimes too, because I have a lot of musician friends, but like when you pick up a CD, there's a memory attached to it a lot of times. So like one of the ones I picked up was the James Baldwin CD, and there's music and stuff to it. Did you check that out?
Not yet, but I have it. I have it on I
iMusic or
music. Apple, yeah,
Apple?
that shit.
Okay. Yeah, A Lover's Question, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And I remember when I found it, and I was with someone who, who's an old school Denver, and who like used to work in Wax Tracks way back. So he's like one of the OGs,
Mm-hmm.
Denver OGs. And I found this CD, this James Baldwin CD, and I like all these memories came back of like just roaming through the CD stacks and listening to stuff and taking your time and looking at the liner notes, and those things we've been robbed. Like we don't get those things
Yeah.
anymore.
Do you ever think there'll be a place where like, I remember where I was when I downloaded this album? Do you think that'll?
I don't know, because I know for me it feels like just an onslaught of music, and it's like I'm often unable to escape out of the algorithm. So like I actually have people recommend stuff to me all the time.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I try not to do it. Yeah. Because I'm stubborn. I'm like, I don't want you to tell me what the fuck to listen to.
right? And it's like
Like,
a
this
whole
song does not
game.
come after this song, right? Like if I hear a song on the album, like I know what song comes next on the album, but then when it's some other random shit, I'm like, no.
Right.
Yeah, I
And
don't even put
sometimes,
my own playlist on shuffle for that reason. I was like, mm-mm.
yeah, lately, since I've been able to slow down, I've been listening to more full albums. And there are some albums I will always listen to fully. I'm a 90s kid, so there are a lot of 90s albums, but like
Mm.
there are a lot of things that I've learned about recently, like Little Dragon, I love. Halung, which is like this Viking metal band. And they're like uh, there's I can't remember, exit enter, I'll have to remember another time, but I like weird music too. And there are just some things that I've heard that have just been like, whoa, like this is life. Like this is the stuff, and you don't necessarily get that just from it ticking down the feed all the time.
Mm-hmm. That is very true. Yeah. Wow. Fuck yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I'm still acting like old Black parents where like your kids clean the house to an album on Saturday morning. So
Yeah, I was
yeah.
listening to Millie Jackson the other day on Sunday all day, and I was just like, thinking about you know, I haven't had a lot of experience with my father, but he always had records, and like weekends was when, you know, house cleaning and playing records happen, you know,
Hmm.
or even the radio. And it's
Yeah.
just like it feels different, you know. It feels different making blueberry muffins with Millie Jackson singing in the background, you know. So
Yes.
I was just like, man, people are talking about Cardi B being a bad bitch, and I'm like, Millie Jackson's like OG bad bitch. Where are you at? Where you been? Like, you need to listen to some Millie Jackson. I like
Yeah.
Cardi B, but listen to some Millie Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure Cardi wouldn't mind.
Yeah. It was
Cause
funny. My daughter just told me, talking about cleaning stuff. She was like, I used to hate hearing Anita Baker like on the record player in the morning because I knew it was time to get up early and clean. She was like 7 o'clock, you got Anita Baker playing, but she likes it now. But it was like I used to hate hearing it because that meant we had to get up and clean the
that
house.
is hilarious. I never associated Anita Baker with cleaning before.
A lot of black people do, which is so funny. Somebody put it on Twitter where it was like it was some white lady. It was like, oh my God, I'm just now hearing of Anita Baker. And some black lady responded like, your house was never been cleaned.
Hey, we were listening to like the Gap Band and Cameo when we were
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's so funny, like this little running joke that like Anita Baker is cleaning music for black people.
oh my
It was
goodness.
like a southern black thing, maybe, or some shit, like
I
southeastern
didn't
black thing.
know. I didn't know. I just know she's one of my aunties.
Oh yeah, totally. It's totally. That's why she's the main character in that book we're writing.
Which one? Oh,
Auntie Anita.
Anita Baker is
Yeah.
Anita?
But the name, yeah, it's like it's influenced or inspired by Anita Baker. The
Oh,
Auntie
okay.
Anita character is her.
I'm gonna have
And,
to read all of that again now.
and Uncle Gerald is Gerald Levert.
Shut up! Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, in the book, you know, Gerald Levert and Anita Baker are married in a way.
Okay, okay. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, Auntie Anita is like, you know, a character based on, you know, Anita Baker. Yeah.
Got it. Oh, that's gonna be a fun book when it comes
Plus, she
out.
was singing a song about the Rapture song and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Anita. Yeah.
What? Oh man.
Yeah, did I not tell y'all? I didn't tell y'all that, huh?
No. I was like, why do these people feel so familiar?
Oh boy.
So, what? I lost my question that I had, but like, I
Sorry.
don't know. This conversation has given me so much joy, so I'm really excited about that. Um, hmm, hmm, hmm. Oh, and I'm working on music too, but it's mostly on the DL, so I'm not saying too much about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you asked me what I
you're
was
good
working on.
musically. I'm always impressed by people who can play music and sing because I cannot. Yeah. So terrible, like anything musically. So I love people can do that shit. It's so great.
But music is really important though in your life, and I think also writing too, right?
Yeah, but far as like expressing it musically,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can do it. But it is important to me. Yeah, it's important.
Well, I was just thinking, that's what I was trying to think of how to get around to is like the things that influence your work. Like there's film, and food appears in probably most of your stories.
So much.
Um,
Yeah.
and also like not just food, but like that connection that happens surrounding food.
Hmm.
And also like anchoring in place that happens when you're having like, oh, this is really good, and you're in a specific place when that happens. And those are some of the things that I really appreciate about your writing. And I don't know, would you want to talk about some of that?
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with my mom too. It's like my mom's this very generous person. She was a cook in elementary schools and stuff, and high school sometime. But yeah, food was big for me growing up is like family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always like, I think the way my mind works too is like everything is kind of anchored in a place. Because I always tell you about it. I was like, oh, Tamika, remember we were talking about this when we were exiting the highway, getting on I-25 to go up the fucking Longmont?
Yeah.
Like, so this place and food for me is something that's linked. And the more and more I feel like I'm writing about care and joy and happiness and stuff, like place and food kind of pops up because that was the way you like show love and stuff. And then also like that gets reinforced by me meeting Tara and living in Hawaii. And it's so like it's such a lot of similar culture and shit between like locals in Hawaii. I mean
Yeah.
locals and Black folks in West Virginia. So yeah, like we go to Tara's people's house in Hawaii and everybody's like, here, eat, food, and
Yeah.
yeah, Tara's grandma, Filipino, but Tara doesn't like pig feet. But then I came, I was like, oh, pig feet adobo. So me and Tara's grandma going out to eat pig feet adobo. And I'm like, what? Y'all making fucking pig feet like this with these Filipino seasonings? Like, just so excited. Yeah. And also poverty too, like growing up poor, like sometimes not having food too.
Mm-hmm.
So like food just being a big part, like the absence of and the abundance of, like so much was always dependent on that. So yeah. I've like had to work over years and like, am I really hungry? Like, do I really enjoy food, or is this just like poverty, trauma acting up, where I need to hoard shit or whatever. So
Right.
yeah. So
Well,
just
and
think about it.
one of your stories that I read was like just where you're in France, or your character's in France, and sees a Black person and goes and gets like that food, and like it's a right away connection, and it's the same feeling. It's like the same feeling as at home, or in the place that I always forget, the island place. In your story.
Oh, Belize.
Yeah, Belize.
Yeah. It's not an island, but
Oh my gosh.
in the
Okay.
Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. Okay.
Yeah, Belize is in Central America. It's like landlocked. So, yeah.
And I'm trying to. I might not have said it very well, but you were. I just feel like you're always showing like that sense of community, no matter where it is in the world, that happens around food.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be a shared cultural thing, even across like kind of cultural boundaries. I feel like like you're in Belize and people are showing you like what the locals eat and where the locals eat.
That was such like a good feeling to be Black, like traveling to Belize. It's just not knowing how many Black people were there, and they thought I was from Belize. So the dude was like, "Hey, let me give you like the real menu. But you eat here in a restaurant." He didn't even know me, but just like we bonded because he thought I was from Belize.
That's cool. That's really cool. I guess I don't know if you're ready to share that yet, or if you even know. But is there a specific thing you're trying to do with that?
With that book?
With the community and connection and food and
I don't know. I think what you mean, like in the context of that book?
in the context of the book, or because it happens in even Water and Power. There's some sections in there like where there's an experience with food that's really
There's a
grounding.
Veterans Day food, like, but it turns into something else because it's not in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the hamburger. I don't know. I think it's just one of those features, how like people have their thing that just keeps ticking and shit. I'm like
Dali's clock.
Yeah,
That's
like
like in every painting.
Yeah. And I did, a book, food and book. Yeah, I have talked about that, but that's to hear me go like that's 3 books down, but maybe since I've been writing multiple books. But yes, I have wanted to write a book about mapping French colonialism through sandwiches. So,
oh my gosh.
yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Sandwiches. Yeah, like all of that shit, the banh mi, the fucking torta, the po' boy, all that shit is from French colonialism, and you can map, you know. So yeah, I don't know how it's gonna be, but it's gonna be fucking sandwiches, colonialism, and everybody coming back to fucking France to take it over. All the colonized countries.
I want to see that soon. Like, when is that? Well, I want to see that soon.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't. Yeah. How long have we been going?
I'm
40
not
minutes?
sure. I've been bad at about tracking the time, which maybe one day I'll change, but not right now.
Okay, yeah. I think it's been like 40 minutes, maybe. Yeah.
That's pretty good amount of time.
Anything you want to add? I don't know.
Well, I was just gonna ask if you could tell folks like how to find you and how to support you, if there are ways to support you and your work.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Before I get to that, I was going to ask you about food too, if you don't mind. You don't have to answer, but I know we've had like
Yeah,
conversations around food. So if you
yeah,
don't mind,
yeah. Thanks for.
hear about your like food experience and relationship to food and writing and or life. If
Yeah, that's a fair question. I've been thinking about that because yeah, we've had some workshops with different people writing about food, and I was just noticing how everyone connects so much over food. And like earlier, I talked about familial estrangement, right?
mm-hmm,
So like it's not that there wasn't family food; it was like all of those family relationships were very strained, and so it it was a weird that. So my great grandma on my mom's side used to have family gatherings um in her yard, which was really beautiful. And you know, before she passed away, and she had like a great barber and like a really beautiful yard, and us kids would play in the back and we'd just eat a lot of food. And that felt pretty good. You know, the grown-ups would do their thing and we would kick a ball around or something. And then on the East Coast, my dad's family, my grandma Goldie Bell cooked all the time. She's the matriarch. And there are definitely things that I remember that I loved. Like I loved scrapple. Scrapple and grits and eggs was like one of my favorite meals when I was a kid. And her mac and cheese. I know you're not a fan of mac and cheese, but my grandma's mac and cheese. And I know
no,
everyone says their grandma's mac and cheese.
but I love hearing you say my grandma Goldie Bell's mac and cheese. So, so I like it through you. Yes.
And like we used to, my grandpa Coleman, my dad's side, we used to go crabbing. And like when you were talking, I was thinking about this one time, you know, that like, you know, kind of lack and then abundance, like
Mm-hmm.
those juxtapositions. Like, you know, we were making like baloney sombreros. We didn't call them that, like little baloney hats or whatever.
Oh, so
Because
good.
that's what we had in the house.
Yeah.
And frying them up and eating them. And then mom would get mad because we'd eat all the bologna. But like then we'd also have like, you know, we'd go crabbing with Grandpa Coleman, and Grandma Goldie Bell would steam them up. And then
Mm,
on the front porch they just lay them out and we'd be eating on those all day, you know. So like there was definitely those times of connection. I think mom made us food because we had to eat, and I'm really hesitant to say that because I don't know what she would say about that. um,
mm-hmm,
but it was always more like something, it felt more like something she had to do,
mm,
you know. And also with the familial estrangement and just the tension and stuff, meals were always a little stressful. um, and then I moved away, and I feel like there's a lot that I didn't get from like either of my grandmothers and stuff like that that I actually really craved, you know. Like
yeah.
I made cookies sometimes with my grandma on my mom's side, but I never got to, she didn't really like people in her kitchen, so she's like, get out of my kitchen. So, you know, the stuff like that, I think the most I've felt, I didn't realize how important sitting down and having a meal with people I cared about was to me until this, you know, my ex-girlfriend who they always had regular uh, meal times, especially at dinner, and always tried to make sure everyone had food in the morning, and I didn't realize how much that made me feel loved. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize it until then. You're gonna make me cry. I'm gonna make myself cry. I'm gonna not do that. But like, it's just, it's more important than we think. I think American culture, it's just like so fast and so bland and so like on the go all the time. And I've definitely gotten into that habit, um, and have just been realizing how much it means to me to actually slow down and actually make a meal that looks beautiful and tastes good, and all of those things. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Shit. Yes.
Yep.
Wow. Now I'm about to cry.
Damn it.
It's
um
okay. It's fine.
I even started growing food. Like I told all my friends, I'm like, I live in a basement. I need indoor plants that receive low light, like diffused or like low to no light. Everyone's been bringing me vegetables and seeds. So like now I have to really quickly learn how to garden.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's really cool because I love it. Like this pepper, like I got a bunch of starts from Rose House, and then someone just brought me some more starts, and I'm just like, I love this too. And I didn't think it was accessible to me because I've always been so busy. And also it always felt like a thing you do with your family.
Mm.
And it's just me. So I guess I'm gonna garden.
Yeah.
Like I'm staring at the plants. That's what I.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. You'll be able to feed yourself also. Yeah.
And maybe share. I mean, because
Yeah.
usually tomato plants go crazy, and I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my stuff with food. I didn't realize how much of a wounding I've felt around all of that, and I should probably write about that at some
Yeah.
point.
I remember you were talking about it. You wrote a little bit about it in writing group when we had a little
Yeah, it was
food
like,
exercise. Yeah. Susie submitted the exercise about the,
mm,
yeah, Susie wrote
oh,
about the chicken noodle soup,
it was
making
the
the chicken noodle
broth, the
soup.
bone broth.
Ooh,
Like,
Susie!
if if she makes you bone broth, you know she loves you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I started making bone broth because of that poem.
Oh, nice, nice. Yep. And then you wrote about like your relationship to it, like the
Yeah.
struggles around it, or like not having it too. We're all like,
Thank you
wow.
for I need to find that poem, because at some point I do want to write poems for the mothers, and it's kind of focusing around a phrase I've had for a long time, which is I promise to remember the good things, because I feel like the matrilineal line probably in a whole lot of families kept a lot of secrets, and like um, did the best they could, and and just, it's weird being a grown up because when you're a kid you can be all angry and like, you suck, like you did a terrible job, and then
Mm-hmm.
you grow up and you understand some things and it's like, oh shit, like they were really struggling to do their best, and that they were holding it up, like really holding it up in a lot of ways, and then remembering what the gifts that did come that didn't feel like gifts, like you know she always had rhubarb and strawberry in the freaking garden and would always make pies, and like
Mm.
um she used to make us birthday cakes every for our birthdays, and like
Wow.
um no matter what kind of job or whatever she was doing, like my grandma, she would make sure we had a meal together when we
Mm-hmm.
were staying with her, so like those kinds of things you don't realize like how important they are. You think it's just like rigmarole or whatever, but really it's like, I'm trying to feed myself. It's tough to, do a good job with that.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, and then you're talking about like how many of us, there was her, my grandpa, my three brothers, my stepdad, and my mom, and sometimes my aunt Jeannie. So we would all sit around the table together and eat together. And that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. Mm.
So I don't know. I'll
Man.
I'll have to write about that one day. Shit, I need to clean my office. I
Oh,
need to write stuff.
And that makes me think too, like I don't think I forgot it, but just didn't think we did have dinner like every single night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like every single night, the whole family did. It was pretty nice. Yeah. And of course, like the big dinners on Sundays and shit. But yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Big dinners, big dinners. I miss those big family get-togethers.
Yeah.
And it was just a couple of people that held those together. Like my great grandma, when she passed, those big dinners stopped pretty much.
Mm.
Because it's like whatever problems people had with each other, you can't have those problems when you're with great grandma, right? Because even though
Mm.
she can't kick your ass, she kind of can kick your ass.
Yeah,
To,
yeah,
like
yeah.
call you out, and you just have to like keep it familial, congenial, or whatever while you're there, and then whatever while you're away. But I just feel like she would keep it together, like all the holidays and stuff. And then grandma did for a while too.
Yeah.
And I think I felt for a while some kind of obligation to do that, but I just was never good at it. Wasn't able to, and I don't know how to get in touch with everyone.
Yeah, sometimes shit is just too far gone. Sometimes, sadly, I mean, yeah.
So I think one thing I would like to talk about, I know we're already at 40 minutes, is just like I've been thinking a lot about like it was actually something Kali said, Kali Fajardo Anstein. I still don't
And Einstein.
Anstein.
Yeah.
Anstein. I will always remember that from now on. She was talking about, I can't remember specifically, but just like how fiction can help you. Jenny Shank talks about this too, like how fiction can help you solve the problems that you're not able to solve in real life, and also be able to kind of process some things. And without it, I don't know, without it getting too, what's the word? A lot of the stuff I write is autobiographical or biographical. And like
Mm-hmm.
I worry about it hurting people, and I worry about it also hurting me. And so like I like the idea of fiction being a place where we can work on those things and also fictionalize it to a point where it's kind of something else too. I'm not totally sure what I'm asking there, but I guess I'm wondering what you think about that.
I don't know. I struggle with it. Yeah, I don't have any big answers because potted meat was, I mean, that was pretty close to my life.
Yeah.
It was terrible when it first came out. People had a lot of adverse reactions to it, and I don't know if anything was ever solved. Uh,
Mm,
so I don't know. It helped me, but is that a lot to ask of fiction, though? Also, I mean, I know fiction can do a lot. You
yeah.
know, yeah, it can do a lot, and it does do a lot. I guess I just don't know. Maybe that'll be something I'll figure out when I get older.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also for me, like I didn't want the fiction. Say I'm working on Potted Me Through Trauma. This may not be what Jenny Shank is talking about, but I didn't want my fiction to contain my problems.
Mhm.
I could write about so I could write about my problems or traumas or whatever, but I didn't want the fiction to do the therapy for me.
Got it.
So I was like, I
Yeah.
need to have my shit together before I'm able to do this thing.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, so I didn't want the fiction to contain my therapy or ever. It's like I need to do my fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, but you can still write about, like the trauma and all of that stuff. But
Mhm.
and I think it can be different, right?
Right.
Because if the fiction is doing my therapy, then it's only for me,
Right.
and then I may not be being fair to other people. I'm
Right.
not saying being fair. What the fuck am I saying? I may not be loving people enough that I'm writing about or situations enough if my fiction is doing my therapy. So like
Right.
my therapy is for me to be fucking rageful, depressed, I fucking want to be, and all of that, right? So like that's for me. Like,
Mhm.
so I don't think that's the function of fiction for me. Yeah.
Cool.
That probably does not even answer your motherfucking
I
question.
think I think it does answer my question, and there was something else I was thinking of that maybe will come back about. Oh, just we read a lot of other people's work in the community and other communities as well. And like I just noticed, I don't know, this is kind of a question that's become important to me because I've seen a lot of fiction that you can it's they haven't done the work that you're talking about. And like I always feel like there's a certain thing that happens, like, I mean, the writing is going to be a product of whatever kind of person you are. And I think that being a writer is also all that other work that we do, like if we're doing therapy, or if we're doing genealogy, or if we're doing whatever it is we're doing, it influences our writing. I mean, that seems to be pretty obvious, but I'm trying to get to a deeper thing where, like, I've read some fiction and I've learned some things from it, obviously, but it just feels like that those authors aren't very, I don't want to say evolved, but they just haven't done the work that would make that writing, I don't know, for me anyway, it would make that writing more potent. It's like, yeah, those things are terrible and stuff, and what now, and it doesn't necessarily make a good story. But then there are, of course, writers who were terribly and were terribly like kind of fundamentally broken people, and their writing is really beautiful. So I guess I'm not really sure what I'm
That
saying.
is very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very good like side to what I was saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shit, yeah.
So I don't know what I'm saying. I thought I was saying one thing, but I just totally disagreed with myself. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm looking for there. I'm gonna have to think about that. That might be my exercise for next writing group. The next time I have an exercise. Well, tell folks how to get in touch with you.
Oh yeah, I have a website. Fuck that website. I'm on Facebook all the goddamn time. Steven with the V Dunn, 2 N's on Facebook. Yeah, I don't know the handle and shit, but you'll see my face and my hair, and it's me, the Black Steven Dunn.
The Black Steven Dunn.
Oh man, yeah, Facebook. That's the best way these days. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close this up.
All right. I'm gonna go pick up my baby from school and hit you up later.
All right. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Tamika. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. Yeah.
All right. Talk with you soon.
Bye.